Shout out to our patron of the week, David Grinus.
I'm hidden in the depths of St. Paul. So yeah.
Ooh.
So, those are our pet updates. You can tweet your pet updates to @commandtime.
Oh, you mean the town. I thought you meant the ghost of St. Paul.
I thought you just meant some guy named Paul.
I was wondering why you were doing
hiding inside a
ghost
man named
boo?
Paul.
We'll save that for the clip show.
So,
it's Commander Time. Welcome to Commander Time. We are yet another podcast about the Magic the Gathering format known as Commander. To any Wizards employees who might be listening, if you send us some Commander 2017 product to give away to our listeners, we promise that we will actually give it all away before the next year's set comes out. I'm Nate Burgess.
I'm Dean Goody.
I'm Patrick Cipolla.
Today, we're going to bring you the dramatic conclusion of our last cliffhanger episode, where we were just about to bring you all the juicy deets. Really? The juicy deets?
Yeah, Nate, the juicy deets.
On my Licia Sanguine Tribune deck. Then we might talk about some games we played. We'll tell you what our pets have been doing, and along the way, maybe you'll hear a goofy song, but maybe not. So this episode is usually our articles episode, where we talk about what we're going to do on EDH Rec. And since last episode I said I was going to talk about Licia, but this episode is an EDH Rec articles episode, I wrote an article. So if you don't want to hear me talk about this, you can just go read the article, or vice versa. Or you can go to YouTube and hear me talk about it while I shove pictures at your face instead of telling words in your ears. Or both. Whatever.
Well,
but first,
I kind of wish you spoonerized that a little bit, Nate.
Oh my god.
so that you can shove some pictures in people's ears. And
This is going to be a good one. So, before we get to that, though, what's a random card type for C17 we can talk about today? Enchantments?
Enchantments.
Yeah.
What's your top enchantment card pick of Commander 2017, including reprints? So, even if the new cards are terrible, we can talk about some of the good ones.
But it's a good thing that they're not terrible.
yeah, some of them are kind of meh, but some of them are actually pretty good, and we're pretty in due for a reprint anyway. So
what's your card, Patrick?
my pick is Blind Obedience, because the power level of it is probably it's at least in the top tier, if it's not the most interesting or the most new. But if you're in white,
or white-black.
Or white-black, you're going to be running Blind Obedience for the most part.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's solid.
I think it's top tier because it only costs 2 mana.
Yeah, and it slows everybody down and gains you random life at times. So, hey.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
That enchantment clause is really the thing that sets it over the top. Or not enchantment, rather the artifact clause.
Yeah. Yeah, otherwise you'd be looking at Authority of the Councils or Kismet.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Both of those are great. My top pick is Curse of Verbosity for 2 and a blue. It's an enchantment. It's new to this set. It's a curse, so you can put it on any player, including yourself, if you want to do that. And whenever the cursed player is attacked with 1 or more creatures, the person who attacks that player draws a card, and you draw a card.
Yeah. Okay.
Is that better than the other enchantments in here, though? I don't know.
I mean, you guys picked maybe just straight best enchantments. I went with one that I thought was fun and interesting from the new ones. I think this is one of the best curses from this set.
Okay.
I mean, if we're going to talk curses, then sure. Verbosity or
Opulence
are probably the
two top ones for sure.
I don't know. The Curse of Bounty is pretty intimidating.
It's only non-land permanents, which unfortunately
that's okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, fine. I mean that's good. That's good. It's just not what I wanted.
So would a Nekuzar player or a Locust God player cast Curse of Verbosity on themselves?
Possibly. Yeah, because whenever you get attacked, you get a card. And your opponent gets one too, which is fine in some decks, especially Nekuzar.
Why would you choose yourself versus somebody else, though?
It disincentivizes some people from attacking you.
Yeah.
It's kind of like a ghostly prison.
Or propaganda, yeah. Because if they attack you, then you get a card, and they get a card, but everybody takes damage.
I guess it's kind of like a Marchesa's Decree?
Sort of. Kind of like that a little bit.
Without the monarchy?
Kind of.
I don't know. I'm not a huge fan of that play. I'd rather just run a wheel.
Yeah, that's fine. I mean, just think about, though, like, if each of your opponents attacks you, yeah, you got attacked and that sucks, but you also got a card out of it, and they all got a card out of it, but you got 3. Each of them only got 1 individually. Patrick, you sound dubious.
I'm not sold on this particular line of play.
All right. Well, Nate, What's your fun, new, and exciting pick?
Oh, yeah. New and exciting. Mirari's Wake.
Yeah, brand new.
Yep.
Brand new. I was torn between Mirari's Wake and Blind Obedience, and like the third best one is probably Abundance.
Yeah, Abundance is fantastic.
Yeah.
But Mirari's Wake is really good.
Yep.
I think it's the cheapest mana doubler available that only affects you. Like, you could play Overabundance or, whatever, but Mirari's Wake costs 5, but it only hits you. And then it's also an Anthem. That's great.
Mm-hmm.
And Mirari's Wake was in need of a reprint.
Yep.
And Sanguine
here it is.
Yeah, Sanguine Bond was too.
Do you play this card much, Nate?
I don't play these colors that much, but...
Yeah, I was going to say.
But it's a good card.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, definitely.
They're good cards, Dean.
If only it was red-black, right?
Mm-hmm.
Man, if only Grixis got mana doublers. If only.
Well, there is the red one, but it affects everyone.
And there's Cabal Coffers or
High Tide or Bubbling Muck or
yeah.
Anyway.
But it doesn't. You don't get a stapled on Anthem effect. So black, red, and blue as a color combination really are second tier colors.
What?
Yeah.
But their powers combined.
What?
Yeah.
They're the evilest color combination around.
Yeah.
Grixis has the most interesting commanders.
Yeah.
Definitely. Hands down, you're absolutely right.
Mm-hmm. They might not always be the most powerful, but they're the most interesting characters.
And possibly the most diverse, I think.
Yeah, they got lots of weird stuff going on.
Absolutely.
Those were our enchantment picks. We'll talk about our articles next, but first I want to highlight Tolarian Community College. I know everyone's already heard of them, but he did a Tolarian tutor on mana curve and land bases, which I thought was excellent. And it was so excellent that basically I don't need to cover that in a future episode anymore. I just point to that. I do want to do an episode on combinatoric statistics at some point, though.
Okay.
Sounds good.
That'll be later.
Combinatoric.
Yeah. What are the odds of having a certain card in your hand in the first 3 turns? Or, if you have a certain combo that requires 3 cards, but 2 of them can be repeats. How do you figure that out?
Well, I've always just heard that as hypergeometric.
Yeah, hypergeometric distribution.
Yeah.
So once I fully understand it all and can talk about it, I want to do an episode about it so that you all don't have to understand it. You can just listen to me talk about it.
And then trust him.
Yeah.
Or they could watch you on YouTube, filling their eyes with pictures.
Mm-hmm.
Nate, this is where you're supposed to wink, and then we can edit in a little sparkle. Right there. Yep, bling. Just trust me.
Mm-hmm. Y'all should, trust me. Because I'm going to talk about my Licia article. The main topic. I told you I would, and now I am. See? I'm fulfilling my promises. Licia Sanguine Tribune. She's 5, red, white, black, legendary creature, vampire, soldier. She's a 4/4. Oh, did I say 4/4? No, she's a 7/7. Because you can pay 5 life to put 3+1/+1 counters on her. Only on your turn and only once each turn. She's got first strike and lifelink. That's pretty cool. So if she's a blocker, she's going to kill stuff and gain you life for you. She costs 8 mana normally, but she costs 1 less to cast for each life you've gained this turn. And if you gain more than 5 life, then that can count toward any commander taxes that you have to pay that you've accumulated, which is cool.
It's like Carador.
Yeah.
Kind of. With just creatures in your graveyard instead.
Yeah, the mana discount can be applied to your commander tax.
Yeah.
I went over some thematic options. If you want to do Vampire Tribal, you should probably just stick to Edgar Markov. Because I think he's going to be a better, just straight-up Vampire Tribal commander. But if you want to do like a Vampire Life Gain specifically, and that's kind of like a Vishkal Red. You look at your Vishkal Blood Arbiter decks that are Vampire-themed, and you add your favorite red stuff. So that's one way to do it. In the Edgar Markov Precon, there are some vampires with some life gain abilities that should probably be kept in there if you're doing this theme. Blood Tribute, Blood Artist, Falcon Wrath Noble, Vampire Nighthawk, Blood Baron of Vizkopa, Tithe Drinker, Sanguine Bond, and then there's also Rakish Heir and Bloodsworn Steward, which don't necessarily have to do with life gain, but they do help your commander be a Voltron. And if you have a commander who's a 7/7 first strike and lifelink, you can qualify for a Voltron.
Yeah, 7 is the magic number.
7 is the loneliest number that you'll ever do.
That's not the number.
Maybe that was like in the first draft of that song.
So there's some other vampire theme cards that are not in the precon that have to do with something with life gain. Vampire Cutthroat. He's a little skulker with lifelink, costs 1. Gifted Etherborn is one of those Etherborn vampires with death touch and lifelink. Drana's Emissary flies. It costs 3 mana. And at the beginning of your upkeep, everybody loses a life and you gain 1 life. Then there's Cliffhaven Vampire, 2 white-black. He's flying, and if you gain life, everybody loses life. And same kind of thing with Defiant Bloodlord. He costs a lot, though. Exquisite Blood is the companion enchantment to Sanguine Bond, and you can infinite combo with those 2 cards. And then Exsanguinate and Debt to the Deathless can both gain you life in big ways.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, they closed that game out real fast.
Yeah, if you can pump up your mana, then those are pretty good finishers. We'll take an intermission and talk about some white vampires from Ixalan real quick. There's a new Mavrin Fane. How do you pronounce that? Mavrin Fane?
Fane.
I was thinking Fane like vein. I don't know.
Fane. Oh. Maybe you're supposed to say it with an accent too, so it'd be Mavrin Vane.
Okay.
Ooh.
And
Could
so,
be that.
you know, so that you can give a wink, sparkle.
Oh,
Yep.
do we get another wink?
Yeah, another
there
wink.
we go.
Yeah.
Mavrin of the main Fane, Dusk Apostle. He's 2 and a white. Legendary creature, vampire cleric. He's a mono white vampire. Who's a cleric? He's a 2/2. Whenever 1 or more non-token vampires you control attack, create a 1/1 white vampire creature token with lifelink. I think this is better for Edgar Markov, since he's probably already accustomed to making vampire tokens and doing stuff with tokens.
Oh yeah, and he's pretty low on the mana curve too, so you know you don't have to worry about getting like a 6 mana additional lord out. This guy is just right there with the team where you already want to be with Edgar.
Yeah, if the token didn't have lifelink, I wouldn't consider this for Licia.
Oh, God, no.
He's kind of weird for a legend. He seems very low powered.
Well, he's also low mana cost.
Yeah.
Yeah, no. I mean, he's just sort of like a slightly worse Brimaz. Because the vampire creature token doesn't come into play tapped and attacking.
Yeah, but you have to attack with Brimaz versus it's just any vampire, so long as it's non-token.
Yeah, that's fair. Still, I don't know. It'll be interesting to see if this guy actually gets built very much as the commander of the 99.
Oh,
Nah.
yeah, I don't think so.
Nah.
Not from what I've seen so far.
Right, exactly.
Let's see. The next one is Bishop of Rebirth. Might be interesting. It's 3 white, another vampire cleric. It's a 3/4 with vigilance. That's okay. Whenever Bishop of Rebirth attacks, you may return target creature card with converted mana cost 3 or less from your graveyard to the battlefield. So it's like half a Sun Titan.
Yeah, it's pretty good, and it's cheaper. You know, you're not usually casting Sun Titan for the body, so this is a 3/4, but it only costs 5. So, sure.
It's half the size, and it's also about half the amount of times I'm going to put it in a deck as Sun Titan.
Yeah, Sun Titan is one of the top played cards in EDH, according to the stats.
Well, the Titans are all really good.
Yeah, but Sun Titan in particular.
Yeah.
There's one more I want to highlight that's a vampire. Blood-Crazed Paladin, 1 and a black. It's a black vampire knight, 1/1 with flash. Blood-Crazed Paladin enters the battlefield with a +1/1 counter on it for each creature that died this turn. So you hold it in your hand, you wait for a board wipe after you've put all your Edgar Markov little baby vampire tokens on, and then you get a giant vampire.
Would you run this in Licia, though? Or is this more an Edgar Markov card?
Well, one, this is for decks that have a lot of creatures or have a lot of board wipes.
There are decks that could use this, though. I don't know of them off the top of my head. But, I mean, the effect is really good.
Well, the effect is good for maybe not EDH. I think that's sort of the Tarmogoyf problem, wouldn't you say? Like, you might get it. I mean, I guess you could get like a 10/10 or a 20/20, depending on the size of the board that you wipe, or someone wipes.
I want to say that there is a really weird black deck that cares about +1/+1 counters. So I could see this in an Abzan build, for sure.
Yeah. Maybe Marquesa?
Ooh.
Rayhan?
Yep, Rayhan would be really good with him. The nice thing about this is that even if you do your own board wipe, you get to be the first one to build your board out. And he's so cheap, it's not like you're 1 and a black. That might as well just be, like a Doomblade as well. You have both in hand.
Yeah, the flash is pretty interesting.
Yeah, I do love the flavor of this card, though. Like, like a battle, just ends and you have just this one vampire who's just like, that's a lot of blood I just drank.
Yeah.
Yum. That's pretty great to me.
If you drink a lot of blood, though, don't you just kind of swell up like a tick?
Or a mosquito. It depends if you're, a vampire. Kind of.
I don't know.
It depends on how your digestive system is structured and whether or not you actually drink more than your own weight in blood.
Yeah.
I just imagine this guy coming down after a giant board wipe and then like getting rolled at someone like Violet from Willy Wonka and the Chocolate Factory.
Oh, yeah. Like Katamari Damacy. So that was our intermission for Ixalan Vampires. So another possibility in Mardu Vampires is a Discard Madness deck. There are some good cards in black and red for wheeling or making people discard. The problem with the Madness deck is that most of your Madness Vampires are pretty much vanilla creatures.
So sad.
So I don't like them.
But there are lots of great spell shapers out there to help you discard your cards. I had to do it.
Why?
Hammer Mage is pretty good.
Hammer Mage is pretty good in Mercil. So back to the life gain theme. If you're not doing Vampire Tribal, maybe you're doing Extort Tribal for Licia. I think the gains from Extort are going to be incremental because you want to gain more life than the mana you spend in order to profit from Licia's casting cost discount. And Extort doesn't help you too much with that. It's a very minor thing, and you need to cast low mana cost things.
It does drain from each opponent, though. So if you drain each opponent for 1, you're going to gain 3, which is...
Yeah, but you still have to pay 1 mana to do that, and you're casting whatever you're casting to extort it.
Sure. But if, like you said, if you keep your curve low, it's probably very achievable.
Yeah. Maybe if you want to go some non-vampire lifelink weenies, maybe they have flying or skulk. Now, there's a problem with this. She's a 7/7 beater, and that's cool, and you want to get her into combat, and we're in red, so we want to use haste, but how can we use haste with Licia if she costs 8 mana? I mean, she does get a discount, but in order to use the discount, you need to gain life before your combat phase in order to apply it, cast her in your first main, and have her hasty for that combat.
Yeah, no, I mean, when we were playing the games, that's exactly what I was thinking. Every time I saw you cast anything with lifelink, I was just like, ooh, that's not great.
Yeah, it's deceptive.
Yeah.
I mean, I'll still cast the ones that also have Death Touch, because that's pretty cool. But you don't want to depend too much on having a bunch of lifelink weenies. You can get them out in the early turns, but they're really not going to help you cast Licia.
Though red does let you utilize extra combat phases, which could work in this case.
Yeah, that could work.
Yeah.
And Boros has some ways too.
Yeah. I mean, she also kind of has the same kind of nice benefit of Neheb in that case, where like some like random damage spells turn into mana, and so in this case, like Lightning Helix or its ilk do, it's something.
War Leader's Helix, maybe.
Yeah, War Leader's Helix suddenly becomes a really nice ramp spell as well. But once again, that's also why are you casting an instant on not your turn?
And that's only for her also.
Yeah. So she's tough. She seems like a tough nut to crack to me.
I don't know. Nate did a pretty good job in our playtest games.
Yeah, I think every time I cast her, she had haste.
I think so. Yeah, I mean, red is the best color for that.
And I was able to use her in combat, yeah. Of course, you're in black, so if you get Cabal Coffers and Urborg Tomb of Yawgmoth, then this whole problem becomes less important. But if you don't, here are some lesser-known ways to gain 3 or more life before combat at a low mana cost. Augur Eelvek, and for some reason the eel is italicized. It's 1 and a white, it's a 1/3 human cleric with shadow, I don't care about any of that. Sacrifice Augur Eelvek, you gain 4 life. Play this ability only during your upkeep. And then on turn 4, you sacrifice them and you can cast Licia.
Mm-hmm. To let you know, the reason why Il is italicized is because it's one of the tribes from the plane on Wrath. So you got the Envek and the Ilvek, or the Endal and the Ildal. So
okay,
that's your Vorthos moment with Patrick.
But why does it need to be italicized though?
It's the way it is. It's just...
It's a cultural thing, Nate.
Yeah.
Come on.
Yeah.
Be sensitive here. And that art is super sick, too.
The art's okay. It's like melting.
Yeah, that's the shadow.
Yeah. There's a cleric that's melting to the side. Melting sideways. Like a Dali painting.
Yeah, I kind of like that.
The next card that nobody uses. Oh, yeah. Augur Eelvek is in 43 out of about 181,000 decks on EDH Rec. 43. This next card Daga Sanctuary is in 65 decks. It's 2 and a white. It's an enchantment. At the beginning of your upkeep, if you control a black or red permanent, you gain 2 life. If you control a black permanent and a red permanent, you gain 4 life instead in your upkeep. So if there's any commander deck that wants this, it's Licia. I don't think this really goes into any other commander deck, but Licia, it's not terrible.
Yeah, I guess it could go on Uncle Carl if you were really desperate for life gain. But it's not your first choice.
I've seen these. It's a whole cycle that sanctuary thing. And I would be lying if I haven't tried to build a 5
sanctuary tribal deck.
Yeah. Yeah.
Do you put all the Hondans in there too?
I would if I had tried it recently. But like if you have a 5-color commander, that's just like bonk. There you go. You get to trigger all your sanctuaries, and some of the sanctuaries are a little bit better than just gaining life.
Hey, what's the matter with gaining life?
It depends on what you're going to do with it. If you're just going to live,
cast Licia.
Yeah, then go for it.
This next guy is a legendary creature, Gerard Capation. I have no idea if I pronounced that correctly. 3 white. He's a 3/4. I don't care about any of that. He's a human soldier. At the beginning of your upkeep, here we go, you gain 1 life for each card in target opponent's hand. So that could do it. He costs 5 mana though, so it's not that big of help. And you can also pay 3 and a white, tap target creature, only if Gerard is attacking. He's in 37 decks.
I wonder why that number is so low.
Because he costs too much.
For a 3/4 and no upside.
And his ability also costs too much. Yeah. Overcosted on all fronts.
This next one is not overcosted. I don't know why people don't play this more often. Gandhi's Machinations. Costs a single black. Enchantment. Whenever you lose life for the first time each turn, you get an energy counter. And if you pay 2 energy counter and sacrifice Gandhi's Machinations, each opponent loses 3 life. You gain life equal to the life lost this way. So you could play this on turn 1, play Lightning Greaves on turn 2. If your opponents have been cooperating and damaged you a couple times, then on turn 3 you can cast your haste Licia. And have a 7/7 commander, gaining you life on turn 3.
That's nice and early.
I would bet that the place where this gets played the most in is Daxos Returned.
Yeah, I suppose so.
Because you need to sacrifice the Machinations in order to get the bonus, or the second part. So it's that I imagine that's the major reason why it doesn't see more play than it does, is because you don't get to just to reactivate it over and over again.
Well, I think it's mainly because it's new, and maybe people haven't been building life gain decks recently. Because I think this goes in a life gain deck. If you're making a life gain deck, I think this goes in it.
But it's not repeatable. You do it once and then it goes away forever, which is really unfortunate.
So if you
you're in
black.
You're in black, so you're probably bringing something back from your graveyard.
Bringing back your enchantments in black?
You usually need white for that. A la Daxos Returned. Seems great in Daxos Returned, to be honest. I mean, and the other problem is that if you, I don't know, you get this at a point where you don't need, however amount of life, you all of a sudden just have a stockpile of energy. And people don't like having stockpiles of things they're just not going to use outside of the one card.
Right. Well, that's the other point, I suppose. If you're running it in a deck where energy matters, this can just sit around for a while and get you a lot of energy, and then you just sack it when you don't need it anymore.
Yeah. Yeah, this is mainly played in Gandhi, Lord of Luxury, probably for thematic reasons. Tracks a Predator's Voice, because she can proliferate your energy counters. And it looks like Yaheni Undying Partisan. I'm not sure why.
I don't know why either.
Block Constructed.
Block Constructed
EDH.
EDH.
What? No.
It's not a thing. It's not a thing.
Gandhi's Machinations is played in 135 decks. Here's the next one. The next one looks like a vampire. Tavern Swindler, 1 and a black, a creature human rogue, but you can't really tell by the art. That could be a vampire right there.
She's just albino, Nate.
And got those red lips and dark eyes, yeah. She's a 2/2, and if you tap her and pay 3 life, you flip a coin. If you win the flip, you gain 6 life. So if you can do that in your first main phase before you cast Licia, there you go. Half the time.
Oh, man. That's the kind of gambling I like to do.
She's better with Croc's Thumb.
Sure.
Flip 2 coins.
Runner and Marcel. It's an activated ability. Go for it.
It's a tappable ability, Nate. It's perfect.
It is an activated ability. That is correct. Yeah. I'm not running this in Marcel.
Oh, Marcel is sad.
The next one, I didn't put this on here. Dean, did you put this here?
I did.
Martyr of Sands for a single white. Looking good so far. Creature human cleric, 1/1. Don't care about that. If you pay 1, you reveal X white cards from your hand and you sacrifice it. You gain 3 times X life.
It's nice and recurable.
You can, Nate, think about this. You have 1 white card in your hand, all right?
Yeah.
You have 4 mana? Or no, not 4 lands. Let's do something a little bit more reasonable. 6 lands, all right? You activate it. You reveal the 1 card.
Mm-hmm.
It doesn't tap her, so you can activate it again. So that's already 6 life.
But you sacrifice it as part of the cost, though.
Oh, shoot. I missed that part.
Yeah, so you can't do it that way. But even still, that 1 card will gain you 3 life, which is kind of like a ritual for Licia.
Yeah, but you're paying 1 to do it, so it's a net gain of 2 discount for Licia.
That's a ritual.
Yeah, I think you'd need 2 white cards in your hand before you run that.
Which is doable. I don't know. I like this card better than Gandhi's Machinations, personally.
What?
Though that does drain.
Yeah.
So. But it's easy. It's more easily recurable, I think, with Licia. I mean, you've got your Bishop of Rebirth and your Sun Titan bringing her back each turn, right?
Sometimes. Martyr of Sands is in 213 decks.
That's more than I was expecting.
Yeah. So I guess we're moving on to the more renowned ways of doing what we want to do. Subversion and Agent of Masks. They both cost 5, and on your upkeep, you drain 1 life from each opponent, and you gain that much life. So 3 life on average in your upkeep. The Seek part of Hide and Seek is excellent. It costs a white and a black, and you look through somebody's library, and you pick a card and exile it, and you gain life equal to its converted mana cost.
Ooh. Hello there, Kozilek. I see you.
Yeah.
Hello, Kozilek, my old friend.
We are friends.
Nice to meet you again.
And Licia, since she's a Voltron commander, could probably effectively run a nice little Sunforger package to recur this card.
Hey. She's got the right colors for it.
Yeah.
Brian Stoutarm. He has lifelink, and so does his fling ability for a single red. So if you fling a creature, if you have creatures to spare, that is, if you fling a creature, then the damage it does will gain you life.
I mean, at the very least, you could always fling that Martyr of Sands.
Venser's Journal costs 5. It's an artifact. You gain 1 life in your upkeep for each card in your hand. That could be a lot, or it could be nothing. Depends what you've been doing.
Well, you're in black, so you'll be okay.
You've probably been drawing a couple of cards.
I hope you're running enough life games, so I hope you're running at least Phyrexian Arena.
Yeah, which can trigger your Gandhi's Machinations for you.
Yep.
Sounds like a combo.
Sort of.
Synergy.
If a combo is too small, we call it synergy.
I don't know, that's more of a... Phyrexian Arena is a good card. You should probably put it in your black decks.
You're not wrong. You're not wrong.
Planeswalker loyalty abilities. They don't cost mana to use them. So you'll have that mana left over to cast Licia with the life gain that those planeswalkers give you. Ajani Vengeant, Obnixilis of the Black Oath, and Elspeth Tyrell can all potentially gain you 3 or more life. And also the new one, Huatli Warrior Poet, for 3 red-white. Her +2 ability is you gain life equal to the greatest power among creatures you control. She's also got an ability for 0. You create a 3/3 green dinosaur creature token with trample. That's got to be awesome. And -X, Huatli deals X damage divided as you choose among any number of target creatures. Creatures dealt damage this way can't block this turn. I don't like that one. But she starts with 3 loyalty, and if you have a decently sized creature already, she can gain you that much life.
I mean, Licia just gets bigger each turn, right?
Yeah, she does.
And at worst, you can take out the blocker that's annoying you, so you can swing in for lethal. I mean, that's...
Oh, with that ultimate, you mean?
Yeah. I mean, you can just -1 if it's just the one, but, you know, even if she's been out for a couple turns or something like that.
I mean, more options are always good, even if they're bad options, right?
Sometimes. Sometimes.
Having that ability makes her strictly better than if she was printed without that ability and just had the 2 abilities.
Sure. Yeah, that is true. Moving on. Mardu, the red, white, black. I think that's the best color combination for removal, in my opinion.
Abzan might be slightly better if you're trying to include artifacts and enchantments in that equation.
Well, red will kill your artifacts for you.
Sure, and white will get rid of enchantments, but I think Abzan is still the best. I mean, you get...
No way.
It doesn't matter.
Oh, another planeswalker that'll gain you life in these colors. Just straight up a Johnny Goldmane. 2 white, +1, you gain 2 life.
Well, there you go.
That's not enough.
Yeah, but with the -2, you put a 1/1 counter on each creature you control. Those creatures gain vigilance until end of turn.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
That sounds okay.
Yeah. He's only 4 mana. Go easy on him.
He is only 4 minutes.
I think you'd rather run Huatli.
Go easy on the giant lion man with the axe.
Yeah, he's from Bant. He doesn't know better.
He's from Naya.
Is he?
Yeah.
I thought he was from Bant.
Oh. Anyway.
Okay. This is your not Vorthos moment with Patrick.
Mm-hmm. That's like most of my moments.
Yeah.
Talking about removal, there's Fumigate, 3 in white. You destroy all creatures. You gain 1 life for each creature destroyed this way. And there's Paraceline, 2 in a white. Destroy all enchantments. You gain 1 life for each enchantment destroyed this way. Those are pretty neat.
So that's how you pronounce that. I've always called it Paralescence.
Yeah, it's not that.
Nope. But that's what I call it.
Okay. Some other options are Righteous Fury, which I don't like too much. Divine Offering and Serene Offering will gain you life with a targeted removal at instant speed for an artifact or an enchantment. Oh, these are just some good cards I thought might go with Licia. Crested Sunmare is new. It's 3 in white. It's a creature horse, 5/5. Other horses you control have indestructible. And at the beginning of each end step, if you gained life this turn, hey, I'm probably going to do that, create a 5/5 white horse creature token. Perhaps on each turn, and it'll be indestructible. That could be cute. And Wall of Reverence did a pretty good job in our testing. It was 3 in a white. It's a 1/6 creature spirit wall. It's got defender and flying. I don't care about any of that. At the beginning of your end step, you may gain life equal to the power of target creature you control, such as this 7/7 Licia, or is it a 10/10 Licia, or a 13/13 Licia? Who knows how long it's been alive? Because I'm going to put counters on it on every one of my turns. Going back to something I skipped earlier, I have Handwear Battlements in my deck because I want to give Licia haste. I also have Gisela the Broken Blade in my deck because she's mana efficient, she's flying, and she's in the First Strike Lifelink Club with Licia. And there's also Lone Rider, which is 1 and a white. It's a creature human knight with First Strike and Lifelink. It's in the club. It's a 1/1. At the beginning of the end step, if you gain 3 or more life this turn, transform it into It That Rides as 1. Creature Eldrazi Horror, 4/4, First Strike, Lifelink, and Trample. So we're kind of close to having an Eldrazi Horror meld tribal deck.
Ooh.
All you need is Graph Rats and
Well, I don't know about
that
the
it melds with.
Graph Rats and Midnight Scavengers, but if you can save a couple slots for Bruna the Fading Light and the Hanweir Garrison, then you could make a meld deck, and it would kind of make sense with Licia. The cards in there would kind of make sense. Some of them. You'd have to make some room for tutors, though, because if you're making a meld deck and you don't have tutors, you're going to have a very anticlimactic experience.
I have had a person in my play group demonic tutor for Graph Rats in his Kali of the Vast deck.
Okay.
Yep. It was a play that he could make, and he did it.
Yeah, Kali is not a bad meld commander for 2 particular angels.
Yeah. For the angels. But for Graph Rats, maybe not so much.
So I think that covers my article. Yeah, the trick is to gain the life before your combat step.
Mm-hmm.
That's the challenge. I think that's my article.
Cool. Yeah, your deck was a house. It was very effective. I was impressed.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah, I liked it. It seemed like a pain to pilot, in my opinion, but...
I didn't see it coming, though.
It was a trick to figure out.
Yeah.
I'll say that.
Yeah, I definitely thought... I don't know. I definitely underestimated Licia, but I guess if you build her right, you can pack a real punch. Cool. You guys want to move on to a fun round of Would You Play That Card?
Ooh.
Sure.
All right.
What set are we looking at?
So this month in Dig Through Time, we're going to be discussing some cards from Weatherlight. Way back when.
I'm going to answer yes to all of these by default.
Yes. Finally. Got Patrick. All right. So let's start. We'll start out with an enchantment. It's called Inner Sanctum. It costs 1 white. It has cumulative upkeep, pay 2 life. And it says all damage dealt to creatures you control is reduced to 0. Would you play this card?
Yes. Especially with a card called Solemnity.
Yeah? Yep.
That's mostly the reason. I mean, outside of that, it's really corner case.
Is it good without Solemnity, though?
Not great, no.
No?
It's not great. It depends. If you have a creature-heavy combo that you need to protect from a red player, I mean, it prevents Blasphemous Act.
Prevents all damage, all combat damage, everything.
Yeah, but I mean, it doesn't prevent Damnation or Wrath of God because that's destroy, not damage.
Correct. It's kind of like a flipped Rune Tail. Does a very similar thing, except for the cumulative upkeep. What do you think, Nate?
It could go in decks where you're making those little lifelink vampire tokens. If you have a bunch of lifelink blockers, this could pay for itself.
Yeah, definitely. Would you consider this for Licia?
Nope.
Isn't this actually just a worse Glacial Chasm in some ways?
No. Glacial Chasm only prevents damage to you.
Oh, okay. I guess it's a Glacial Chasm for creatures.
Your creatures. Yep.
Meh.
All right. Next up, we have Teferi's Veil. Oh, I forgot to mention. Inner Sanctum sees play in 32 decks. Next up is another enchantment in 258 decks. This is Teferi's Veil for 1 and a blue. Whenever any creature you control attacks, it phases out at the end of combat. Would you play this card?
Why?
Why
do you want to play that?
It protects your creatures?
Yeah, you can Wrath post attacks. And also you survive all of the Wraths on each of your opponent's turns.
I mean, this actually seems really hilarious with Zedru, but I mean, the reason why I would run it is just so I can confuse people with phasing.
Sure.
The typical reason why you run any phasing card is to confuse people, as far as I understand it.
This card actually, this recently got better because the phasing rule changed, and you can now phase your tokens in and out.
Mm-hmm.
So you can run this in your super token heavy decks and not lose anything.
Huh.
Yeah, but most of the time I still want to use my tokens for like sacrificing stuff post-combat.
Yeah, well, you might want that, so maybe you don't put it in those decks, but maybe you put it in other decks. Oh, Nate, one of those interesting Grixis legends you were talking about, Cedrus the Traitor King.
Mm-hmm.
So if you unearth a creature with Cedrus during your first main phase, attack with it during your combat phase, and then it phases out at the end of combat, it won't be on the battlefield, sort of, at the end of your turn, and you won't have to sacrifice it to unearth.
Yeah, you'll miss that trigger.
Really?
Huh. Oh, I guess that's true for any of your clones, too. Like, any of your red copy effects would also be true.
Yeah.
Like Kiki
red clones, do you mean the stuff that you steal? Oh, sure.
Like Kiki
tokens.
Or that Twin Fire or things like that. Anything that triggers for at the next end step.
Yep. And anything that you steal temporarily with a threaten effect.
Yep.
It'll just stay under your control. It'll just be phased out. Next up. Hey, it's another enchantment. This is Infernal Tribute for black. Pay 2 and sacrifice a permanent. Draw a card. This sees play in 529 decks, which is a little bit high for the article, but we'll let it slide. What do you think? Would you guys play this card?
Yeah. I think there are better rates, but it's good. I mean, having a sacrifice outlet for any permanent is nice.
Yeah, the versatility is nice.
Yeah, I mean, if somebody Darksteel mutations you, or Dryad Song your commander or something like that, you can get rid of. You can just sacrifice the land. Well, we're good.
Yeah, sacrifice anything.
Teysa Orzhov Scion.
Mazrik seems fine with this too.
Oh, Athreos Shadowborn Apostles.
Yeah, could. I don't. But yeah, it's not quite a good enough rate for Athreos. But you could run it in Athreos.
Yeah. Weatherlight block constructed EDH seems really good.
Yeah. So good. This is another one to run with those threaten effects, right? Pay an extra 2 and sacrifice the thing.
Yeah, sounds great.
Marin of Clan Niltoth.
Hey, now you're cooking. All right. How about Loon Shaman for 1 red? It's a Minotaur. Maybe a Minotaur Cleric. I'm not sure what the Oracle is on this. But it is a Minotaur. It's a 2/3. And it says, when Loon Shaman dies, each player sacrifices a land. So this is like a, what is it? The Abyssal something or other? There's a thing that when it dies, each player sacks a creature. So this is like that, but for lands. This sees play in 76 decks. What do you think? Would you play it?
In Minotaur Tribal, yeah.
What about outside of Minotaur Tribal?
Are there enough Minotaurs to be able to cut the bad Minotaurs?
Yes. Yes, there are.
Probably,
actually.
at this point,
There's a lot of Minotaurs. Yeah, with the last, with Amonkhet block, we got a good influx of Minotaurs, so... But what's real fun with this guy is that if you make tokens of him and then sacrifice them, you just get all the bonuses. Okay, so apparently I'm just on the...
So fun, right? It's fun for everybody.
Apparently I'm on the clone your stuff and sacrifice them for benefit plan right now for most of my life.
What was the final verdict on this? Were you guys running this?
Nope.
Oh.
Generally no, but I mean, if you're in Minotaur Tribal or if you have a clone your stuff and sacrifice them theme, go for it.
Yeah, or some kind of a land destruction theme.
Felden?
Yeah, could be Felden, right?
He makes copies and they die.
Yep. Yeah. And he usually relies on mana rocks, right?
I don't know about that.
Sometimes. Yeah. Why not? Mono red. All right, Nate, this one's for you. Tranquil Grove. This is an enchantment for 1 and a green. For 1 green, it's a repeatable effect. For 1 green, destroy all other enchantments. So he's playing 125 decks. Would you run it?
I could see myself running this, yeah.
Yeah.
I could see you running this too.
In a mono green deck.
Yeah.
I remember this card being unusually powerful in my middle school meta of 60 card singleton.
Wow.
A lot of Enchantress decks in your meta?
I could be totally wrong on that, though. Like, I have no idea. My memory is very fuzzy. We're looking at like 20 plus years at this point.
Yeah, Patrick. Patrick just had a birthday, so he's an old man now.
Maybe. Yep.
Yay.
Yep, that makes me the old man. Not anybody else on this podcast.
Definitely. Nope. Definitely not anybody else. Yeah, no, this card seems pretty playable, though. I think your old meta maybe had it right.
Yeah. Or we were all middle schoolers and we just played whatever we had. Whichever.
For sure. Definitely. But I feel like there's more and more enchantments that see play in EDH now than maybe just a couple years ago. I mean, certainly Theros gave us a huge infusion of enchantments.
Oh, they got better.
But yeah, enchantments have been getting better, so... I don't know. I think destroying all the other enchantments repeatedly is pretty good.
They just got better.
Maybe a Bant deck with Enchanted Evening.
That's not nice. Last on the list is Call of the Wild, which sees play in 246 decks. Call of the Wild is an enchantment. Another enchantment. Wow, these are all enchantments. It has the activated ability, pay 2 green, reveal the top card of your library. If it's a creature card, put it into play. Otherwise, put it into your graveyard. Would you guys play this card?
No, there's better versions of this.
Yeah, like Mael the Enema.
Or Sneak Attack?
Or the, I guess the red-green one.
From Shadowmoor?
Yes, Shadowmoor. I mean, it's cheaper to activate, cheaper. I mean, they're all comparable. I mean, Yisun Wandering Bard is also just going to be straight up better.
Well, depending, but I don't know if that's straight up better. It's better sometimes.
Okay.
I mean, you have to start with a 1-drop. This thing could just off the bat hit Vorinclex.
You would still need 8 mana going in on the turn it goes.
Well, fine. Or you would need an early game Mirari's Wake. Come on.
Oh wait. You'd play this if you play this on turn 4, and then you can activate it on turn 5. You could have a turn 5 Vorinclex.
Yeah.
And if you had Yisan Wandering Bard on turn 2, you could have a turn 9 Vorinclex? 7 Vorinclex?
Yeah, that's 7. More.
Yeah, that's more.
Well, that also...
I want it earlier.
Yeah, but you also get, your choice of the entire deck.
Yeah, but you're not doing that. You're building combo. You're doing the same thing every time with that deck. This card is fun.
If you're making a Yisan deck, you have a checklist.
Mm-hmm.
A flow chart, as you will.
Yeah, you're not playing for fun with that deck.
Playing for profit.
Yes. Pure profit.
Pure
profit of truth.
You got it out.
Out of my head!
You got there before me.
So yeah, that's a sneak peek at my article. If you want to read a little bit more about Weatherlight, go check it out. And there's some other nifty, quirky, weird cards that you probably are not playing.
And they're not enchantments. Or are they?
Are some other enchantments possibly in there?
Weatherlight had some pretty good enchantments as far as I remember, so I don't blame you for just picking those out.
There are definitely some artifacts. So
that's true.
Those are not enchantments.
As far as my articles go, I never actually finished my article until about Friday night.
Well, by the time this comes out.
Yeah, so, last Friday, the Friday before my birthday, and one of the biggest reasons why I didn't is because I kept thinking I had a lot of work to do in terms of building the Paradox Engine mono white deck, but it turns out when I actually went to go start working on it, it was complete. It was missing one card.
Do you have deck building elves that come and build your deck in your sleep for you?
I don't know. like literally half the cards are cards that I would put into a mono white build. The other half are cards that I have no recollection of finding.
Wow.
And it had a mana base. Not that the mana base was particularly hard with 36 planes, but
do you get blackout drunk, Patrick?
I don't drink.
Oh. Well,
yeah. So I ended up playing it because I was curious as to how how it went. Yeah. So if you know anybody who finished my list for me, thank you. Can you just let them know? Thanks. Because I want to do this more often. I'd love to find more complete decks done in front of me that I can write articles about. That sounds like a lot less work.
So what does your sleep brewed deck do?
It's my Paradox Engine mono white build. It takes all my lands out of my deck. It does mono white things. I mean, and then it tries to go off with Paradox Engine. And it turns out I just never drew Paradox Engine in any of our games. So
you had to go off with other things.
Yeah. So now that we're on to the topic of games, we may as well move on to our next subject.
Our last game.
Our last game.
It's in the game.
So, Patrick, this is the game you pulled off your horrible combo.
So, I found out that even when you're playing a really busted combo, if you're still in mono white, you're playing mono white, and you either go, you basically go between two feelings when you're playing mono white, and that is, oh yeah, I'm winning, and oh man, I'm doing nothing. This is miserable, and I have no plans or no options ahead of me except for to wait for my draw step. Even if you have a full hand of 7 cards, if those
it's a full hand of planes.
Yeah, there were times I had 9 planes in my hand, and I would discard down to 7. And that doesn't change the fact that it's all planes, and I can only play 1 at a time. Because this isn't green. I don't get to play an additional land each turn or any craziness like that. And so eventually I just got Endless Horizons and, prevented the whole problem of drawing lands at all.
Now this is half your combo, right? This Endless Horizons?
Yeah, and then ideally I wanted to get Oracle Vault and Paradox Engine out so I can cast the rest of my deck. But I only ever found Goblin Charbelcher. So I just killed...
Which also combos with
Yeah, so I just killed everybody with Goblin Charbelcher.
The Goblin Carebelcher.
The
yes.
Careburper.
Kerburper! Kerburper! Yeah, so for this game, I actually had a pretty strong opening hand. I had 6 lands and an Ancient Excavation, which really doesn't get much better than that for Cass. Unfortunately, by the end of the game, Patrick had killed Nate with his Gerblin Kerberber, and it was just me versus Patrick. And I needed to get my Torment of Hellfire or Exsanguinate, and I was down to 36 cards in my deck, and the rest was in my hand or graveyard, but I just couldn't hit those 2 cards.
Hey, I had less cards in my deck, so, I was doing pretty well for a mono white.
You had what, 26, which was exactly the amount of cards you needed to kill?
Yeah. I could have just waited until I untapped and did it again, though. So it's not like it's a huge problem with Goblin Charbelcher. It's just,
Gerblin Kerberber!
Goblin Charbelcher. Okay, yeah.
But, yeah, I actually got to do all my fun things with Cast that game. I had all my wheels going and all my symmetrical discard effects going, which was great. Though Patrick always had lands to discard, which was a little bit annoying.
Well, if your hand is literally full of lands, technically land tax gives you card advantage, but you can't do anything with that card advantage when it's just lands. So many lands.
You can discard them.
Yeah. That's what I did. And I was very sad when I had to shuffle all them back in with Elixir of Immortality, because then I had to draw more lands.
What do you want to do next time? Next episode?
I think it might depend on what's announced for Ixalan. We might brew some Ixalan decks.
Oh, definitely. I like that idea.
Or I don't know what's all going to be announced by then. If not, we could do a back to basics, or we could do some listener questions if anybody wants to do that.
Do we have enough listeners who will ask us questions? I don't know.
Well, I know my grandparents have plenty of questions.
Like, how does a podcast work?
How do you talk to each other?
Computers are amazing things.
We haven't done a break that card in a while. We could always go back and do one of those for Mirage Mirror or something like that.
Yeah, that's not a bad idea.
I was thinking Fractured Identity would be a good one for that.
Yeah, it would be.
Yeah, that would be good.
That
though. Yep, we're gonna try the 2 people play it, 1 person doesn't.
Yeah,
rotate them out. Sure.
Yep.
Cool.
That works for me.
All right, let's do break that card.
All right, we're doing it.
Doing it.
All right,
doing it live.
Decided.
We're not doing it live.
We're doing it recorded.
Yeah, we're doing it later.
Later. All right, pushing the stop button.
Stop. Visit us at patreon.com/commandertime.
You can find me on Twitter at Grubfellow.
At Detective Yarmits.
At Mr. Plorg.